Velikovsky's Worlds in Collision, a brief overview of the prologue, chapter 2. All right, so in chapter 2 of the prologue, again, they're kind of laying the foundation here about how what we might believe or learned of in school doesn't always jive with the actual history. And it's kind of unusual that this book was actually written before plate tectonics was accepted as a theory. Though plate tectonics kind of came about as a possibility in the 1910s, 1920s, it wasn't until like the late 1960s or 1970s that it became the accepted theory. So they talk about some of the things that we think we know and how they studied it and some of the incongruent things about where rock sediments were or skeletons were or land animals, and how they concluded that evolution here isn't really how slow and steady as it was described. And I actually find in some newer textbooks in biology, when they start talking about evolution and population, that they have already started to move towards this theory that it is based on catastrophes. So a certain feature in an animal doesn't become dominant in the population until some sort of catastrophe occurs that that feature survives. Sometimes the feature survives by chance rather than by, best adapted. And they kind of hint at that here. Remember, this book was written in 1950s. And I just want to get through the prologue here so that we can get to the actual chapters that have some biblical and cultural events that go along with what they're seeing here. Again, they kind of talk about the mountain making after they talk about the Darwin section here, and how did these mountains get made and why are there, fossils and skeletons and even plant fossils in places that are frozen. And I think they do that down here at the end about the ice ages and where they actually are. And they get into the mammoths and how they were so well preserved and how they must have frozen instantly in order for that to have happened. I find it a little bit interesting if you know some of the background, but they don't really discuss it in detail here. It's just kind of reminding you some of the things that you may have learned may or may not be true. They talk here about Niagara Falls and how it's moved about 5 feet a year. But, this calculation might be wrong because originally the water flow was much greater. And then they start getting into these cultural and biblical traditions and stories about cataclysm and world ages. There's a lot of information here about different cultures who have these different world ages, and they actually started to call them different suns. And those sun ages, they kind of called them like the path of the sun was different. And that's where Velikovsky starts to get his ideas that something might have changed with how the planets orbit or circulate or whatever it is. So did that substitution for the word sun and epoch mean that both hemispheres have changed in appearance of their luminary or changed the path across the sky? And that's where we're going to go ahead and get started in chapter 1. Chapter 1, part 1 about Venus, starts off with some stories out of the Old Testament. And they start here with Joshua, one of the Canaanite kings, and hopefully we could read that next and see if we can relate that to some geological and astronomical features.